YouTube. I've just done a video there. I might just never stitch this on to the end of it. It was already 40 minutes long, wasn't it? Yeah, so it definitely, I was just moving on to that, the crafted in Japan, like the Daphne Blue or whatever it is, baby blue. The light blue strat there saying that, Japanese strat saying that it felt more like the Ibanez Blazer, which was made by Dyna, not a Fuji Gen. And I was looking at this and I thought, actually what I did was, when I first played it, I thought, oh, this doesn't feel like a Fuji Gen, doesn't feel like the other ones I've got. This feels more like the Blazer. And I was playing it and I shot the Blazer and went, yeah, it does totally feel like it, apart from obviously the Blazer's covered in hundreds of dents and stuff. I had this, I thought, well, I'll plug this in and see if it does, and it does. This totally feels exactly the same as the Roadstar and that one. Totally. And to a certain extent the Telly, even though it's different neck carves, there is something Fuji Gen have a feel, as do a lot of these factories. I think, I suppose Harley Benton have a feel. That feel is crap! Yeah, so I'm just playing this, and this isn't the one that's got the right pickups in it. I don't know. So I'd say that's a thinner sounding pickup. It's much more, I think this is a much lower output than... It's not as loud either. But this is the only pickup in this guitar that should be in it. Well, in saying that, it's not actually from this guitar, but this is a 1987 Japanese Fender bridge pickup, whereas that's a lace sensor and that's a 1970s Fender, which actually I keep needing to change, is it? Am I going... Yeah. I kind of feel it loses a bit under the B and the E strings. This one, I think, because... Maybe not, maybe I'm just imagining it. These strings are old though. I don't play this guitar enough, clearly. This is awful good. This is actually so similar to that wee red Roadstar, it's unbelievable. It's more like the Roadstar than... Sick of looking at this one, right? It's this one, right, being an RG, is more like this than it is like that, which is also an RG from the same year. That's how close they are. This is 1095 or something like that. Yeah, so it's 10 years newer than those two, but it still feels exactly the same. I don't think I've actually used this since I put a tremolo on it. But that arm, I need to get that into the bendy thing and bend it up just a wee bit low than what I'm used to. I bet you I could really impress Crankenhouse by turning up with an actual Fender rather than turning up with some make no one's ever heard of. Too low. tuning. I can't believe how annoyed I am with that trem bar just sitting a little bit low because I'm kind of used to using the trems on some of the other guitars. It's only, I think maybe if I bent that up maybe 10 mil, it would maybe be enough. I just like my hands hitting off the strings when I'm trying to use it. I take it I probably bent it to make it fit, 'cause it's clearly not from... Oh no, it is. Alright, this is the one that I didn't have the block on it had a tremolo bar that had been turned into it and snapped, and I tried drilling it out and pure fucked that up. So this is actually a block from another guitar, which just happened to fit. But it's a big one, so I mean that must be good. It's steel, and I think that's the trem arm from that block, but not the base plate and the saddles are the original from the guitar. Because I did look up buying a block. Blocks are like 40 quid and all that, and it's like to get like a, you know, your sustain block, one that looks like that, right? And I bought the bridge that's in this. It was actually a 2-point bridge to try and replace a Bendmaster or a customer's guitar, and I think I only paid 15 quid for the bridge, and didn't end up using it. Well, but 15 quid for the bridge, 15 quid got me. So even if I just bought the bridge and then just flung away most of it, it got me the bar, right, and it got me the fat block, which fits into a Japanese bridge. So maybe worthwhile looking at that, because when I was like, I wasn't finding, you know, like bass blocks for 15 quid. They were 40 quid and 50 quid and all that. Like brass ones were, I can't remember how much brass ones were pure ridiculous, but I mean it's like a solid brass block. And it's like, the thing is, you look at something like this, you know, if you look at paying more than 50 quid for a brass block, that's a brass block. It's a brass base plate, it's a brass saddles, you know, the whole thing's fucking brass. It's like, it's got to be, the spec of some of these guitars is ridiculous. Which is probably why they don't really make them like that anymore. You know, it's like, how much extra are you going to pay for a brass bridge? Are you going to pay an extra 50 quid or 100 quid? And it's like, that puts it up to the next tier, doesn't it? It's an awful lot of money grabbing involved. Yeah, I'm going to put new strings on this. I think I've still got some 9s left. I've still got 2 sets. What was the set of pickups I was going to have? I was going to do some of the pickups. I've got this guitar which is still in a... I think it's just... It doesn't have a trem. Oh, it does have a trem bar. It does have a trem though. So this one is the one that's a later 80s, not 90s. Well, this is the one that's got a... This has a Mexican tremolo in it. But it feels, even though it's a maple neck, it feels the same as that. It feels the same as that. This one has 2... What original? Yes, I swapped the pickup, the bridge pickup out in that. It was a DiMarzio stacked pickup, which is lying over there somewhere. I keep seeing it. But I think it's the neck pickup that I had, like a stack one, and I put that in the bridge because this guitar didn't have pickups in it, or I did it cheap Chinese ones that I just took out and replaced. I put in my most expensive pickups, being a lace sensor, the 70s Fender one, and I put the DiMarzio in the bridge, and the bridge just sounded shit. I think because it was the neck pickup though. So I eventually managed to buy a 1987 Japanese Fender. I think I only paid about a tenner for it. which I consider to be a really good buy. I put it in and it sounded flipping marvellous. This guitar, everything but the neck, the tuners, the electrics are all a 1988, 87 Japanese Fuji Japanese. This even sounds like it might even be sort of in tune, considering I've not played it. Well, I say in tune. It's like in tune enough for a drunk person, or enough for when you're camping. So I need to get myself an arm for this one. So this one has the Japanese pickups, the original ones in the neck and the middle, and the bridge is that DiMarzio that I had in that, apart from it's the bridge DiMarzio in this one, which doesn't sound weak and crap. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of these have the original Japanese pickup set, because I've now got these two in this one, and then the one I bought for that one, and I've also got the bridge DiMarzio stacked thing, and I've got the neck DiMarzio stacked thing sitting there, so I could have the two DiMarzios with something else in the middle, perhaps a lace sensor. Haven't yet worked out exactly what I'm doing. My pal Jez has offered to paint the original body for this. I really like the colour. I don't mind. It's annoying because it's thin. It's not. I think it's a Squire, the slightly thinner Squire, which means that the block doesn't totally. The bit where the spring, the block sits pretty much flush with the back of the guitar, but the bit where the spring goes in kind of sits out a wee bit, and it's like, it's not really that annoying in any way, apart from the fact that you look at it, you go, that's not the right thing. So I'm not really sure what to do with this one. See, the thing is, I quite like this colour, and is it really that bad an idea having it lighter? It doesn't. I don't think it affects the sound at all. The problem is it puts it into that category of having to explain which guitar it is. What's that? Oh, it's an 80s Japanese Strat, Japanese Fender. Brilliant. But, because it's thin, people are going, it's a fake. It's not fake, it's different bits. To be honest, I didn't buy this one. This one had a Mexican body on it anyway. The guy couldn't remember what he did. He bought a Mexican body and painted it, and he can't remember what he did with the Japanese one. I don't know where that is. It was apparently originally white. This guitar's flipping marvellous. The thing that I don't really, this one, the neck, I think sometimes you get the lacquer wear. I think that's what's happened to this at some point, and somebody sanded it, so it's kind of, it's not got a lacquered fingerboard, so it's a one piece neck. It's not, it doesn't have, it's still a fingerboard even though it's not a separate piece. So the bit where you put your fingers, this surface of the neck has been sanded, so I think I'm kind of tempted to sand it down a little bit more and try and lacquer it just to make it shiny, like that lovely, the lovely crafted in Japan one. It's much nicer than having. You don't notice when you're playing it, I'll be honest. See, why do these two feel like, see, fingerboard radius, right? When I first got the Squire Bullet, I was like, oh wow, the 7 1/4 inch radius, first time I had this. What, it feels pure weird. Oh, this is really odd. For a couple of weeks I was just totally aware of that, and then I ended up with that Blazer, and it wasn't until months later I was like, I think this might be as well. I just didn't even notice. You just get used to these things. It's only when it's something strange. So this is a 7 1/4 inch radius, that's a 7 1/4 inch radius. These both feel almost exactly the same as that Roadster, and it's a 12 inch. So it's not, the neck carve, I don't know how do they make, how can a guitar feel the same when it's so different? But they do. But again, I would argue that with the FGN Telly, kind of feels like this and like that, even though it's a Telecaster, it's an entirely different everything. But it's still, there's something that, there's a personality, there's an awful lot more to sticking a guitar together than just bolting them together. And maybe even saying that, I'm just talking absolute piss, aren't I? I'm going to keep this short though. Like the one, maybe it's, maybe there's some voodoo in guitars, because like that guitar there, the one I made, the double neck, it kind of feels sort of not that different to the Shockingbird, which is, you know, there's nothing even remotely the same apart from I built both of them. Maybe just the slightest little bit of, you're talking about such a small variance in these things. Oh, it's a wee bit. I do need to decide what I'm doing with this, because this has the stabby saddle, so I need to shim the neck so I can get the saddles down. This is a bit hand stabby. Also, it may be a little bit boring, just being, I mean, okay, it's not black or white, but it's, I do like white guitars. It's just this sort of mad purpley bluey colour. It's maybe not extreme enough for me. Imagine all my guitars don't have to look pure weird. Marvellous. I really like this. Is a problem I have with pink. See, guitars that if I'm ever going to try and sell, and I'm trying to sell a few, I've got too many. I've got to. There's so many of these guitars that the ones that are like 8s and 9s out of 10 are like, you play them and after a couple of minutes you're like, that's a really good guitar. You don't just play it and accept it. You physically almost have to say out loud, that's a really good guitar. My God, I've got too many guitars. It's becoming ridiculous. But that's something I could really need one guitar. This one I put a trem bar in it. It's not set floating either, because it doesn't have to be. So this is a soft hardtail one. And now I'm sitting here thinking, what am I going to do with this? Because I can't really justify having this and that. The justification is this has got a maple neck, but that's the reason. That's how I justified having that and that, because it's a maple neck. Oh God, catch you later.